Hello everyone, nice to see you all again. This is the 7th episode of the year-end rankings from the Billboard Hot 100 year-end compilation things. 2006 is the year that I want to talk about today, the 20 highest charting songs of that year, as you can see on the screen right now. I will be trying to place them out in the different tiers that you can also see on screen right now, from S all the way down to F, and just give you my 2 cents on all of the songs, I suppose. It's been fun doing this so far, really revisiting a lot of these older songs, and I gotta say I've enjoyed going back to this year as well. We'll see how my opinions shake out throughout this video, if I think it's one of the better years so far, or one of the worst, or maybe one in the middle. I haven't actually thought about it in my head yet, so we'll just see when everything is said and done how it looks according to my preference. Please share your lists, of course, as well in the comments if you'd like to share some of your opinions on these songs. I'd be interested to read that. Without further ado, I'm starting with the song that ended up at number 20 in the Billboard year-end list of this year, which was I Write Sins, Not Tragedies by Panic at the Disco. And I gotta say, I wasn't really aware that this song was that big over in America, I suppose, back then, because I don't really have a memory of it really being charting in Sweden. Maybe it did, but it's definitely a song that I think kind of epitomizes this era of music within the pop rock scene of the Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, I guess, being the kind of standout groups in that regard. But this is a cool song. I mean, I was very much into this kind of music back then, and I still am now. I can always put this song on and just really enjoy it. I think it's creatively arranged. It has a bit of a strange flow to it that you don't really expect. It feels a little bit unpredictable in terms of its actual structure and craft, melodically and rhythmically. I think this kind of arrangement that it has, it's pretty hectic, and I do think that has quite a bit of flair to it, which is quite fun. I think the vocal performance is somewhat, I wouldn't say outstanding, but it absolutely, stands out among other songs, which gives it a unique quality. It's very much, I think this song I've always kind of associated in my head. It's like, oh, that's a Fall Out Boy song, but no, it's a Panic at the Disco song, and I guess I'm still kind of ignorant for having difficulties in separating the two, especially from the earlier days, but it's still nonetheless a very characteristic vocal style and delivery in that regard, and it's a melody that sticks. I think this is a definite A-tier kind of song, very much something that I could return to at any time and just have a blast with. So good start. I do enjoy these kind of songs back from back in the day, I suppose. Next up is Rihanna, who I was a bit skeptical towards in the last video. Spoilers, I suppose, but I hope you've watched that video as well. This is SOS, which is her follow-up, and I do believe that this was the first song that she actually charted #1 on the Billboard with for a week or so. It's obviously a song that's just heavily being carried by this intense and super iconic Tainted Love sample that just really provides all of the energy to this song. It's what drives it forward. It feels very forceful, and it's mainly due to that. I think what they've done vocally is something quite competent. The vocals work in combination with this beat very nicely, and it feels fitting and suitable. So I'd say it's somewhat engaging vocally as well. Decent amount of energy throughout the track as well. I do think that it pushes on quite nicely. And just an all right listen altogether for some enjoyment. I think I'm holding it back a little bit though, because I think that it just relies on the sample way too much for its own good. But it's still a solid tune that I want to place in the C category, and I think that's really like the most justified category for this song in my book. Anyway, they do things nicely with it, but perhaps it's not the most creative or mind-blowing effort out there. And for something I like way less, though, is the song here that's called It's Going Down by Young Jock and NITTI. This is, it's a song that I do not know who it's for. I suppose that I'm always a bit in the blind spot of the kind of people who do enjoy listening to this music. But this one, it feels like a very kind of like a half attempt of creating something that really works within the style of music. There's this kind of feeble little synth line that I guess is somewhat memorable, but that's really what tries to provide the energy in the track, and I don't connect with it. I think that there's a lot of just annoying, nonsensical shouting going on in the background, and the vocal delivery is almost unintelligible in this song. I think it's a proper chore to listen to, and I do not know who it's for. If you get some kind of enjoyment out of this song, please let me know, and let me know why, because I just can't see it personally, but I'd be interested to know, really, because to me it just ponders on, and I check out. I completely check out. It's absolutely not for me, so I'm placing it at the very bottom here. However, next up, more positive feelings towards this one. This is So Sick by Neo, and this is a song that I haven't thought about since probably 2006 or 2007, but wow, it was massive back then. It's a song that I've listened to so much when I was younger, and it's just because I think it's irresistible in terms of its catchiness. It's such a smooth little track, very sweet tune altogether. Vocally, it stands out, absolutely. I think Neo has a very characteristic voice, particularly in this song. His soft vocal approach really works wonders for this one, I'd say. It's a very effective chorus, and it's a mellow beat that I just can't help but nod my head along to. And I've actually been enjoying going back to this song quite a few times now since I've revisited this year. Really a proper nice comeback to, like, a proper nice nostalgia trip back in time to go back to this song. Actually, I think it holds up well. It obviously sounds very much like a thing of its time, but in this specific regard, I think it's very charming the way that it does that. I would actually recommend everyone to just go back to this one and nod their head along and just have a good time with this song, because I do think it's really special in that regard. Very inoffensive, very perhaps not the most crafty kind of song here, but everything's just effective about it and very enjoyable. It's absolutely an A-tier kind of song. Yeah, for sure, in my book anyway. Next up, I do think this is the song Run It, judging from this artwork. This is by Chris Brown and also Juelz Santana. And I just noted down the like, apart from the opening, with something like they know what girls want and what girls like, which that's one way to begin your song. And they may know what girls want and what girls like, but they could not care less about what I like and what I want to hear from them. This is a proper dire beat that's dressed up with kind of this very loud synth lead that tries to grab all the attention, but the actual input that this one contributes is very limited in the song, I think. It's a very lazy composition altogether in my book. The vocals, they really try to be very soulful in this track to kind of make them unique or whatnot. But I gotta admit, I zoned out almost immediately, and I will not be returning to this one. I do think it has a little bit more of a purpose than the Young Jock track, but an F is still an F. I can't shy away from the fact that I thought this was a very, very unenjoyable experience to listen to. So, yeah, that was a rough one. However, here it comes. Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls. And I don't know what the general opinion on this song is, but all I know is that I think it's one of the most fun songs that I can think of, really. This kind of Middle Eastern influence that it has really from the get-go sets the tone quite nicely, and you don't really know what you're gonna get. Then this beat comes in, it hits hard, it's forceful, it's assertive, the vocals join in on top of that. A lot of attitude in this track, a lot of vocal variation as well. I do think every single melody line is just instantly recognizable in this song and instantly hooks me. It's a proper lively vocal arrangement, and the hook is just immense in its absolute catchiness. And it's just one of these songs that I can't sit still to. I can't resist the absolute effect that this song can have on a listener. And I'm sitting here thinking and thinking and thinking, and I'm talking so positively about it. I really don't find any flaws in this song. I think it's all-out engagement from first second to the last. I'm having the time of my life with it. I'm so tempted to put it in the S tier. Is that too extreme to put a Pussycat Dolls into the S tier? Probably, because it's still at its core a silly song, but you know what? It's too damn fun. It's going into the S tier. It's still, it's my list. I'm placing it up there, and I'm not changing it. That's the way it is. Now, next up is Me and You by Cassie here, and this is a song that I never really knew the title of or the artist, but the minute I started listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, this song exists. It's kind of nice, isn't it? I do think that the beat, it may be very, very simplistic, but wow, it's so catchy, and I think the vocal lines in the song sound really slick. It's nicely put together in that regard. I think there's some neat detailing in the song with the layers, particularly in the verses with these vocals. They are layered very nicely. It is a rather monotonous song at its core, I suppose, but it's an irresistible foot tapper, really, and just very enjoyable to sit back and listen to. You could put it on in the background and just really enjoy yourself. And I could also just be heavily engaged by it at the same time. I could blast this at full volume and just think it's a properly groovy and vibey tune, which I think it fits perfectly into the B tier. It's a pretty strong B, I gotta say, because I think this is it's a strong effort, compelling one, that I do get quite a bit of enjoyment out of. So nice one to actually get reminded of. I'll be looking forward to listening more to this song going forward. Actually, it's not like a standout to me. It's not a buttons, but it's still quite fun, and I do enjoy that one quite a bit. Now, you know me, pop rock music again. This is more of the ballady kind. It's the song "Over My Head" (parentheses Cable Car) by the Fray, and I actually was not aware that the Fray had a song that charted higher than "How to Save a Life." But apparently this is the one. I'm a bit confused as to why this is the one that's charted so highly on Billboard from them, but I don't mind it. I think this is a beautiful song, really. It has a very rich soundscape going for it, strong instrumentation that's kind of highlighted by a convincing mix, I'd say. It builds progressively in a very effective manner as well, with very strong choruses that I think stand out and really kind of overpower the whole listening experience in a positive way. Comes together really nicely towards the end as well, and it feels very fulfilling and complete. I think it's another A kind of song. Perhaps it's not melodically as memorable as a I Write Sins Not Tragedies or a So Sick, but it's very, very pretty when everything comes together, and I think it's structured very nicely. And the Fray tend to have very rich soundscapes that just sound complete to me. So very enjoyable. It's a lot of songs just stacking up at the top few categories here, but it feels like a good year so far. Let's see if we can keep that going. It's Nelly time. Nelly's appeared so many times now I can't even count it anymore, but he's here again. It's 2006 now. This is Nelly with Paul Wall, Ali, and Gipp, and the song is called Grillz. And this is, I'll have to be honest here, it's probably one of the most catchy songs of this year, but at the same time, it's also one of the most tiresome hooks that I've heard. It's a constant repetition of "Smile for me, Daddy," and then someone shouting in response to this woman who has a pretty, like, for being a song that really tries to highlight a female vocal delivery for its choruses. It's quite a weak vocal performance in my book from this female singer. I don't know who she is, but she's not impressive, and even less impressive is the people just shouting back at her during this chorus. But I will admit, it is catchy, so I understand why it's successful. It is a playful beat overall that's utilized well with this hook, I suppose. I think, like, during the verses, there is quite a particularly strong and prominent kind of character being established by the rapping. So that's somewhat kind of nice, I suppose. Everything comes together as the way I think they wanted it to be. It's just that I find this to be quite a tiresome listen, but that could be a me issue. I'd place it in the D category because I absolutely understand its appeal, but yeah, this whole "Smile for me, Daddy" hook gets really tiring in my opinion. That doesn't really maintain my interest that much as the song trundles along. But I see what you're going for. I'm half appreciating it, I suppose. D category for me on that one. And moving along, it's Mary J. Blige, actually, again, talking about one of her songs. And this is the song Be Without You, which is very different from the last. I think I've only talked about Mary J. Blige once before. But this one is quite different from Family Affair, of course, because this one has a very more vocally focused kind of delivery. She's singing her heart out in this song, really. I think there's a palpable emotion in this song. The arrangement is overall quite impressive, I would say. This kind of instrumentation that they got going for this is very colorful. And I think this one kind of just hammers home a more, like a different side of Mary J. Blige, really, that I can absolutely approve of and appreciate. And I think they kind of paint up this whole concept behind the track quite nicely, and it feels rich and expansive and thoroughly thought through, I suppose. What I do think kind of holds this one back a bit, it seems to have been like a tendency back in the early to mid 2000s. Maybe it still is, and I just haven't paid attention. I guess I'll find that out when I get to the more recent years. But there's just this kind of excessive amount of vocal acrobatics taking over towards the latter half of songs. And I think this one is absolutely suffering from that. It becomes quite overbearing towards the end. I don't think it's quite necessary. I understand that you want to really express all of the emotion that you have in the concept of the song, but at one point it just becomes too much and it kind of loses its actual hold on me. So I think that kind of makes me want to drag it down to the beat here, which is where I will place it. I'm still impressed with this song, but I do think that it gets a bit overbearing, which is why I'm placing it in the B row. But I think it fits quite nicely in there, actually. So yeah, and as you can see, we're halfway through the list here, and I've been very fond of the songs that I've talked about so far, really has to be said. Unfortunately, I suppose, for this list's sake, Beyoncé is coming around now. And Beyoncé, like, is there an artist that I'm more just unsure of where I actually find her music to stand? I think that she's done some absolutely brilliant stuff, and then she's done things like Check on It with Slim Thug here. It's a bit similar, I guess, to Be Without You in the terms that it's just proper vocal chaos in this song that tries to do so much that it's just incredibly obnoxious, I gotta say. It's so messy that I do find it to be quite headache-inducing, which is not a good thing. Beyoncé might sing well, but this is just simply too much. And it does not help that this beat is incredibly repetitive, and I don't get a single piece of enjoyment out of this song. I appreciate what Beyoncé tries to do at times, but this one's just a proper shot in the dark and missed the target by approximately 5 million miles. It's at the bottom category. I'm placing it in the middle of those two. Did not enjoy that listen for 1 second, I have to be honest. Which is a shame. Beyoncé has a lot of songs, some of them better than this for sure. Not one for me at all. Next up is Timbaland, and of course the main man himself of this song, Justin Timberlake, with SexyBack. And this is of course one of the most, what should you say? Could I say influential beats even? It's one of the most iconic, that's for sure. This beat is strikingly dominant and forceful. It just drives the song forward so effectively. Vocally, it is it is a rather monotonous song in all honesty, but Justin Timberlake's vocal delivery absolutely works with the whole vibe of the track. I do think that this very distinct rhythm in the backing track is actually highlighted by his vocal input in this song, and the mixing is sublime, really. I mean, Timbaland is absolutely a top tier producer, and some of Timbaland's music during this era is really my absolute favorite. This is a good one. I think it's a good one, and the energy really is irresistible in the track, and I think the vocals flow perfectly on top of it all. But it does get a bit, I suppose, monotonous, and it's not that interesting, I think, overall as a composition. It's just more a properly fun and engaging club type of banger in that regard. So I'm placing it at the top of the B tier. I think that that it fits quite nicely in there. I'll have to say, not higher than that. I think that would be a bit excessive in generosity from my side. Now they see me rolling, they hatin'. It's Ridin by Chamillionaire and Krayzie. Two people that I do not know much about. I do know quite a bit about this song because it's obviously very, very famous. It's obviously a very iconic hook that just sticks. Everyone probably knows this hook without even having heard the entire song because it's just that memorable, I suppose. But at its core, this is a song that's very dumb, in my opinion, and it sounds very unpolished. But I suppose that's part of the charm. I guess that's what gives it its appeal, I suppose, and I can appreciate that. I'm not particularly impressed with it as a full song. I don't think it provides a lot of intriguing aspects. It does have a hook, and that's about it for me. Really, I don't find much enjoyment in the song, but I understand its appeal, and for that, I think it fits quite nicely right next to, you know it, Smile to Me Daddy. Or was it Smile for Me Daddy? Anyway, we got They See Me Rollin' and Smile for Me Daddy right next to each other here. They just tune into one here for me at this point. So D category for Chamillionaire and Krayzie there. They will not be joined in the D category by Gnarls Barkley's song Crazy, which is a top tier banger of a pop tune. It just feels like so out of the blue. Like, where did this song come from? Why is this successful? I'll tell you why. Because it's just that damn good. This soulful vocal delivery that it has really makes it stand out. I think the beat of the track, like the whole pulse that the song actually provides instrumentally, is irresistible. The bass walks are properly tons of fun and work so well with the percussion in the song. The bass lines just really elevate it all, but you still get so much energy provided from both the percussion and also the vocal delivery, of course, in this song. It's just a strikingly catchy and memorable tune that I'm stoked that I get to hear so often. I return to this very frequently, and while I don't think it's as fun to listen to as Buttons over here, I would feel a bit wrong not to put it in the same category, I have to be honest. So I'm doing it. Yeah, that's where it ends up. It's an S tier song. I feel like when I look at this list now, maybe I am a bit generous, but otherwise I'll just place 5 songs in the A category. But why not? You know, why not put these up here? I feel like maybe I've been a bit harsh in other videos since I put Buttons up in S tier, but who cares? It looks good that way, I think. Next up, it's more good stuff. Like, when I look at the songs left, there's quite a few good ones here. Mainly Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. I think this one just stands out massively in terms of this kind of singer-songwriter type of pop tune. This acoustic guitar-driven kind of song. A lot of energy in this one. I think the soundstage of this track is really unique. It feels this kind of instrumental arrangement that it has is really creatively executed, I'd say. I think there are a lot of just kind of punchy sounds throughout the instrumentation here. A lot of instrumental inputs that carry a lot of character, and instead of really fighting against each other, all of them stand out in their unique ways, and they create a very unique sounding soundscape that just kind of feels complete while also feeling a bit maybe overpowering, but in a good way somehow. I don't know how it really works. I think it creates a very unique identity to a song that really at its core could have been just a simple pop tune, but here I think it's a very characteristic song with a lot of unique detailing from this instrumentation, and also a very sweet vocal performance from Natasha Bedingfield here, and a hook that's, you know, instantly in here and sing-along friendly, very sweet in its intonation. Rhythmically, it's engaging as well. It's simply very, very enjoyable and pleasant and satisfactory. And at its core, the song also feels really authentic and raw. I think it's a perfect mix of a lot of things. I'm placing it at top of A tier. I can't stack the S tier too much. I don't return to this one as much as I do the two songs in the S tier, but maybe I should. Maybe I should, because I do always really enjoy listening to this one. I think it's quite a perfect little singer-songwriter pop tune, really. And next up, Hips Don't Lie by Shakira and Wyclef Jean. And Wyclef Jean, in my opinion, doesn't really give this song quite the desired effect, I suppose. I find him to be very pointless in this song. However, or well, maybe he isn't. At least he shouts Shakira, Shakira a few times, which is catchy. I can sing along to that. But what I mainly sing along to is that infectious hook and Shakira's brilliantly outstanding vocal delivery during said hook. It's one of the most fun pop tunes of this year for sure. I think the instrumental is very forceful. It has a wide instrumentation, particularly. It's very effective in just grabbing the listener's attention right from the get-go. Love how the horns sound in the song, and the percussion mainly very forceful, very pulsating in this track, and quite dynamic as well. It's just an upbeat song, very engaging, and that hook, that vocal hook, is really just stands out massively. Yeah, it's another A, and where in A? I'm placing it here. This category is getting a bit full now. Let's see if there will be more songs in there. Now, I don't think that James Blunt will actually be joining that tier, because I do think that You're Beautiful, which is the song that charted at number 4 on this year-end charts, it's not really my favorite James Blunt song, if I'm completely honest, but it does have a very neat soundscape, I think. Sounds very polished. I think James Blunt has a vocal delivery that sounds very pretty, and it's touching in a regard. And while the song is very sappy, it is also quite effective. Now, I think that a lot of people probably have a little bit of an issue of just how sappy this song is, and I can kind of verge on that as well. I think that it kind of borders that line quite carefully. Sometimes I feel like this song becomes a bit much. He does sound a bit on the whiny side at times. And his vocal style is a bit unique, and sometimes I get kind of like a check out of it a little bit in these earlier songs from him. I think that he put out some songs a bit later in his career that feel more, I guess, polished and just more complete. I think 1973 is a very good example of a song that just completely clicks with me. You're Beautiful is scaled back, intimate, it's effective, it works, but I still think I would only place it in the B row. I'm placing it between Mary J and Cassie. Still a good listen for me, but I don't return to it particularly often. I don't find it to be that pretty, I suppose. I actually think Goodbye My Lover, which was from around the same time, I think, is much more hard-hitting and relatable and palpable in its emotion. And I would have probably preferred that to be up here. That would have probably been an A-tier song anyway. But You're Beautiful, not too bad. B is where I'll place it. Next up, Promiscuous. Again, it's Timbaland with an infectious beat and Nelly Furtado on the vocals. And I'm a big supporter of some Nelly Furtado tracks. Promiscuous isn't really my favorite. I do think that it is high in energy. It's a very catchy hook. But vocally, I would say that this one leaves a bit to be desired. I don't think it's really one of these, I guess, intonation-wise, more striking songs from her repertoire. The beat is, of course, effective, and I do like the energy of the track. I do think that it trundles along quite nicely. It has this constant pulse to it, and the production is top tier. But overall, it's just not a song that I really return to, because I do think that it leaves quite a lot to be desired in terms of its actual vocal arrangement, I suppose, mainly. It's not one of these songs that I sing along to quite often. Maybe that's just because I'm not personally into the song that much. But I do think there are so many other songs that she's put out, and so many other songs that Timbaland has put out, that just hit me harder. I have never really been able to connect with Promiscuous as much as maybe I should have. I'm still placing it in the C tier and definitely above SOS. Feels a bit wrong to place it in the same category as SOS, but yeah, I don't get that kind of enjoyment out of the song that maybe I should get. And I mean, I just can't really lie to myself. I just think that that's kind of where I place the song, even though I do think that it's quite convincing, and I do think the production quality of it is absolutely superb, really. It feels harsh to place it in C, but it's very, very top of C. It's very close to a B. I just don't return to it. I suppose that's the main thing. It will actually get some company here, and this is also a song that I do prefer over SOS. Maybe I was too generous on SOS, actually, now that I think about it. But Temperature by Sean Paul here. He's back after Get Busy, and maybe he's been featured on some song that I've talked about as well before. But Temperature here is it's fun, absolutely. I think that Sean Paul really shines in this song with his vocal style as well. I think he's commanding and he works the beat very well in this track. It has a punchy production, absolutely. Altogether upbeat, likable tune, really, but it is melodically very monotonous. It's a bit similar with Get Busy in that regard, but I think this one even more so. It kind of just pushes along, never really challenges the listener in any regard. The vocal lines are catchy due to their rhythmic composition, I would say. Progressively, though, the song's really dire. It never really expands anywhere. Structurally, the song goes absolutely nowhere, and I do find that to be quite a letdown. I'm placing it in the C category between Nelly and Riri here. Enjoyable tune, but I check out of it quite quickly, if I'm completely honest. I don't get that much enjoyment out of it, even though that it has some fun ideas in there, and Sean Paul is still Sean Paul. I should say early Sean Paul is still early Sean Paul, I suppose. I understand why it's a hit, absolutely, and it is a hook that's fun to sing along to for a minute or so. So yeah. And finally, You Had a Bad Day by Daniel Powter. It's only called Bad Day, actually, but anyway, this song it flows very naturally. It's very inoffensive. It's vocally neat enough, but ultimately the song I've always found it to be quite uninteresting. I'm not sure why it's such a big hit. But I guess it's just, again, like I guess what I talked about in 2001, I suppose, with Hanging by a Moment. It's very accessible. This one is obviously more sweet. It's scaled back, sounds restrained. It's a bit cute, but it's for me. I mean, nothing really grabs me about this song personally. Ponders along without much energy or a pulse really at all. There are also very strange kind of distracting sound effects scattered throughout this song, which I don't understand. And I think there's like throughout this song, when the more it kind of progresses, you feel like, oh, we're just adding a bunch of lush sound inputs. The instrumentation grows wider, and these kind of strings that join in, they feel, in my book, overly tacky in an attempt to just kind of create this huge orchestration to hammer down some kind of emotional depth to the track. And I think that kind of just misfires a little bit. I don't particularly enjoy that aspect of it. But at its core, it's still inoffensive. It does have a chorus that's quite sweet, so I can't be too harsh on it. I'm placing it in the D category. Yeah, I'm actually placing it above those two. But yeah, not higher there. D for Daniel, I suppose. And that's the end and the end of the tier list. And when I think about it, maybe I was a bit too generous in terms of my S tier placed songs, because perhaps those aren't really, if I'm completely honest with myself, do I enjoy them more than some of the songs that I placed in A? I'm not sure, actually. But I do think that they are two fantastically fun songs, so why not? I'm placing them there today, and if you think I've been overly generous, let me know. But anyway, that's the end of the tier list. I guess I'm somewhat satisfied with how it looks. It's a very strong year, just looking at it like this. A lot of songs at the top few categories. Of course, 3 absolute, what do you say, stinkers, I suppose, at the bottom that I kind of despise. But other than that, not too bad. And I'm looking forward to seeing what 2007 has to offer. I'm pretty sure that Rihanna, at least, will appear in that video with an actual proper banger that I can finally speak very fondly of her for once. But I guess we'll have to find out when I upload that, which should be tomorrow. So please be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. Take care of yourselves until next time, and bye bye.